perfect opportunity. Trey Parker and friends, I present to you an opportunity which is a candle in the wind. I realize that for you guys to perform in the way that I am proposing is radical. It is a departure from the normal. It would be an incredible work of art. It would be a lot of work, but we could pull it off. Let me put it to you this way. For this season of South Park, have you guys developed an idea to release a line of toys for this season? The answer is probably no, we haven't. Well, that's a resource of several $1 million, and I'm projecting the success of the Green Wolf robot to topple expectations. And so it's actually several $1 million. And that is exciting. If we're talking about the business of men and how the world is today, okay, this matches that prerogative. And the reason that I'm excited for the Halloween special is that this is the perfect way that I can make up for lost grounds and be advanced and get right back to where that I know that I can be. Because I'm watching the debates, I'm watching the things going on in the news, and it's always been way beneath the line of common sense or what's normal. And I go out and, communicate with people in a daily life, and each one of them is smarter than what's going on here. I mean, it's not American. America's not being represented by these people who are going through the news. Okay, it's a strange and advanced like psycho fabric that extends in weird ways that isn't polite discussion. Like we're not supposed to talk about, spirits or, market manipulation using, you know, hate groups, grafting, and this sort of branching. But I am a far superior and far intelligent rebel than the anti-hero Trump. Yet Trump is performing at least some form of freedom where he's just, smashing around and, frolicking. And it's a shame because that type of anti-hero is almost becoming more correct or more like a rebel than these people who propose to be the good voice of the people and that they're common sense and stuff. But I see the way that they stumble with their words and the way that what I'm saying is like they're not on an entropy of a ratio to defeat Trump. Like I'm concerned because they're not projecting that, oh, Trump will do something and something's going to happen that is marginal in the future, in the near future, in the next, 10 months. They can't anticipate that. And what I'm saying is like the green wolf and releasing the green wolf is like this type of intellectual, you know, perception blitz, which bleeds out the gusto of the anti-hero Trump, okay, and performs the appropriate focus where people are interested in what they're seeing. Because I perform a sort of pageantry that is elegant and beautiful with all the romance of Earth. And it's profound. I'm taking seriously America. I'm taking seriously my family who lives and shares in this year and in the year 2020. I have a schedule to look forward to. And I'm saying that, if Trey and I can land on this deal to do this one episode together, it would put me back on track to like, I haven't lost any ground at all. That's what kind of a springboard South Park would be for me. And for you guys, you're like, oh, like several million in assets with this Green Wolf robot. It is a perfect idea. But are our feelings getting in the way? Oh, there's something verklempt here, some old laundry, and now I'm done with that. And so this and that. Like, I think that, but that's not Trey Parker. Trey is a real intellectual, and he's like, this bothers me that I mishandled the situation with my friend Pan. Right? He puts a lot of energy into performing, and he's said things and made turns and phrases that I've never seen done before. So this is a description of a talent. We would be like, oh, produce that, and that's our investment, and that's our business. So that's completely normal. And so my trouble is like, I think that you guys don't understand that I'm sort of blitzing this Halloween episode because I missed the boat, and I'm like, okay, this is sort of my last chance to be relevant with my projection of, working with communication artists and bridging America up into the technology market. But the Green Wolf robot on the animation and in the toy does exactly what I'm talking about, and in a far superior, uh, because we are fighting. There is like this calendar. It's not just like a sleepy garden. It's like there's things happening. It's very powerful right now. And so this is totally important. It's on the pulse of like how everyone feels about what everything that's going on. And if we can prove to them that friendship works and friendship triumph, that Trey, transcended, been like, oh wait, okay, let's listen to his idea. So here I am to pitch my idea for the Halloween episode. Trey, it's going to be a challenge for you and me. It's going to be a real dash to make this animation happen. It's a powerful work. And what I was thinking, I want to focus more on the haunted house aspect because we have the advantage of VR, XR, hologram, water wheel mill, refurbished, and this is sort of the entire spirit of what I represent and what I love to do, and how talking about converting the water wheel mill into a technological thing, it's sort of like you see like all this total mismanagement and a fiasco of old people and they're doing harm, and Greta and the Friday Kids go out and say these awesome statements, and they always have the sharpest zen, and their demands are real and powerful, but what's going on with the adults isn't responding to it, isn't in any reference to it. There's no intelligent recognition. So this episode would be that. This Halloween episode would be the total, perfect, intelligent adult response to Greta and the Friday Kids. And that's the life force of Earth. And that's how we wield friendship and love to defeat the evil that is, market manipulation and this temptation of older men. Oh, that's what it's good for. It's a sad contest from our business district. I just I want to love America. I have so much to give them. And what I've done, Trey, is I've presented you with my art stills, and I've spoken to you about Millie in the Attic and the Halloween Twins. So I've shown you my love for it. And what I was sensing in the spirit is that that wasn't enough to make you feel that this would be a perfect gemstone of an episode. Okay, but it's also worth several $1 million. So that allows us to sit here and consider it. So inside the realms of a haunted house, the opportunity for the visual exploration is a pursuit where we go through different rooms that it's like a labyrinth, but also in the costumes and the characters and of a whole new level, a whole new world of imagination is coming to life in this episode. And I do have a great list of little characters that I like, and I can see how they could be simply animated. I'm thinking of those little sheep monsters because their skull image is like a black-faced sheep, but the skull image is just a single image. But the way it wiggles, they jostle in, and then their head moves around, but their feet stay poised. Like there's so much dialogue there, and it lends itself to the South Park animation with the cutouts. very zen, very powerful art form is South Park. And so, I'm juxtaposing, I'm contrasting a sort of like a lot of different things are going on at the same time, and I'm bringing it into focus, and I'm saying if we produce this Halloween episode, all this stuff can get fixed, and I have a plan. And my entropy is to win the 2020 election with a big budget film is what I call it. It's really just the ascension of people, power of the people, but people getting to know the candidate. Like actually, they're actually going to get to know me. Whereas with these other candidates, it's not really personal. And I'm also going to be telling them stories about like hatch the Helix for egg and a rainbow in your spine. And these stories are going to be juxtaposed with my political presentation about the golden statues, returning to the golden standard, and projecting into the future the perfect lighthouse of those super cities that would be built from the bedrock with the intention of being a supercomputer, the more advanced than what is possible anywhere in the world. And I'm talking about America joining the reality of being a pioneer of robots and AI. And the definition of robots and AI right now is in the visuals of an automaton, they have like a human face and it moves its jaw, and they're like, wow, it's a robot. That's not actually robotics and AI. And that's amazing to me. Like I go over and I'm researching what they're doing in Asia with robots and AI, and they're like, oh, we're expecting to conquer this market and take over in what is it said like 2030 or something. And I'm like, huh, interesting. I really feel that America is much more interested in that field. And I can bring out the robot trainers and get people. Anyway, if we focus on an economy of new cities, we're talking about it's sort of the opposite of inflation. It's about looking towards the future, not dwelling on something that we can't access, but dealing with what we have and multiplying our fortune and looking towards just the practice of looking forward and being like, oh, the future is going to be great. All right, that's what I bring, and no one else is doing that. So the same thing with that's what I was trying to say is I'm looking into Asia with these robots and AI, and I'm like, wow, that's not what that is. I know how to do that, and I'm looking at the candidates and how it is. I'm like, wow, that's not how to do that. These guys are all tilt, and I have the appropriate patterning. And it's sort of like with a group of friends that would work with me on various projects, I have really good common sense to hold back and be like, okay, whoa, that is awesome, and we're gonna go with that. But we need to explain that in this concise way so that everyone is a part of it. We're not trying to tax the rich. We're not trying to single this out. We're not trying to cause a problem there. So even when we're presenting about um, overhauling the dollar, um, in overhauling the American engine, we have to address, how this would relate with other countries, and it has to be maybe we it doesn't have to be like the big subject, because if you overstress that, then it becomes weird. But if just in the role of the presentation you say, and this would work perfectly with the hopes and aspirations of other countries to have the intelligent economy, which is progressive and advanced, that affords a community development and gives a sort of spending freedom to the government of various nations. And we could just mention it and be like, well, how does that work? Well, we have to kind of work on it and and so everyone who sees that is just like, okay, I understand what he's saying. Like literally what I just said is perfect. and that's how we would present it because it's just this, you can't like you don't want other countries to see what I'm talking about and allow them to fester on this idea and be like, oh, I know we're not, if we're not being included in this surprise birthday party, then why, we'll just start developing, a sort of argument against it, and they sort of begin to manifest something that isn't real. So what I'm trying to say is just by being like conscious, civil and conscious of your friends, I can it just kind of opens up and causes an epiphany for people. And it is an epiphany. Just the conversation is an epiphany. And it's all hopeful. And I'm seeing how it can begin with the Green Wolf awakening in this episode of Halloween, you guys. And that's a stamina. All right. With the funny feelings and the weirdness between Trey and I are put to rest, all right? We're done with that and we're looking forward into a brighter future. And we're thinking, okay, so a Halloween episode special and it represents a toy. Okay, how much work would that be? Can we manage that? You guys, this is sort of my last chance to work with Trey and have this style of very intelligent ascension. This is sort of and I was sort of showing Trey the heart of it, and I was starting to feel like, oh, it was yesterday that I realized that these guys are not interested in me, and that they're not feeling the love. Okay, but if Trey's feeling the love, then this should be green light. That's what I'm trying to express. All right, so I want to go into this and have passion for it. It's just like, like I feel like basically it was awkward, but then like we're rehashing really old laundry with a Mexican joker, and it's not relevant to the actual feeling of like, oh, I feel like I missed an opportunity there with my friend, and oh, I just realized because everyone's always patting me on the back, and Pan comes along and says, "Do you see how you just totally did exactly the 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 only sort of contact that I received so far was a devastation to my financial situation, and so it deflated my entire potential to be a solo presenter. Like I'm stranded now as a performer. And this is supposed to be, if you were talking about the art of war and peace, this would be to the advantage of Trey. Say, aha, see, he's on wounded knee. So now I have the advantage because I can produce this Halloween episode and gain all of this resource. But if you, oh, but I'm not thinking about it, but you should be thinking about it this way because that would be helpful to me. If you would view it as something like, let's raise America up, let's fill them full of magic, and let's show them a rebellious spirit that defeats the anti hero Trump and reprises the quote unquote common sense of these so called uh, public figures. It's ridiculous. There's a huge disconnect, and just recently after Greta started to become popular, now we're seeing sites of different styles of things like, Harrison Ford uh, presenting ideas about listen to the scientists, do something logical. This would make you guys like several $1 million with the Green Wolf robot. It's going to be insanely popular, but it's going to be perfect and it's going to be a completion, because the seed is true love. And so when it opens up in time, it becomes its own self-fulfilling prophecy. It's sort of managed, and I've done a lot of work about appropriate, animation and toy spirits and allowing them to have a safe home that opens up. And then you really have the fullness of where your relationship should occur with cartoons and toys as compared to a sort of corporate thing where the toys are just pushed out and the kids play with it. And really the magic between the toy and the kids is where that's happening. So the power of the people really is uh, a combustion that does defeat over long term the logic suggestion of the monetary system as we have it. Capitalism as we have it is just this basic thing, and it's whittled down the government. It's whittled down a lot of things, and I'm seeing how our society is bursting out the britches, like we're ready to grow up and have a growing spurt. So let's talk about this Halloween episode. Really, it is my heartfelt thing, and I'm seeing how it's just an adventure, going through these different rooms and with the different South Park characters, but they've gone into like an avatar, and so they're actually appearing different, but they have the voices, and maybe they have like a name over their heads so that people can keep it straight. Like it says Randy, and he's going, oh, and so he's like this monster, peeking around the corners and stuff. And so it just opens up our imagination to like almost anything can happen. So that's very open and free. While yes, like an hour-long special, that's like a lot of work, but it's gonna be like very charmed and lovely and just exciting. And I'm really here on bended knee. I'm proposing to Trey Parker, please, Trey, God, please, please understand my desperation. I hear it in the people, man, that America is like, it's I'm asking you, please produce me. I need your help. It's important. Please allow me to have free speech. I need a studio and editing to bring it down to a place where my presentation is very even and polished and beautiful and has a little music at the beginning and the end, and sandwich these things together. Um, I just appreciate it so much, Trey, that you understand that America is trying to wake up from like a coma. This is really like awful, and it's not. It's just like it drops off of like, oh, this isn't funny. But I'm saying like that's what is amazing about the South Park episode. It's like all this bad news, and then it's just like surprise! It's a surprise Halloween party, you guys! Woo! And we just sort of cheer people up, and that's going to be the power that's going to crack this evil that is in the environment. Like that's what's so amazing. And I'm a sort of Zen warrior, so I go along these channels, which are, the divine enzyme that sort of, oh, that's perfect. And then when that unfolds, the you know millions and the infinite reasons why that idea is perfect just start to awaken, and it starts to excite people, and people begin to rise up. So this South Park episode, it really is a it is personal for the pan tray, but it's about triumphing against our own conflicts and triumphing as a society and becoming friends and allowing magic to happen. Yes, there will be a huge profit margin. Yes, Pan brings a lot of strength to this season of South Park. Like without him, we wouldn't have an hour-long special. We wouldn't have a toy line. Okay, that's good business. What you're talking about, you guys are gonna be expecting, without Pan, you're expecting like a 75% diminish in your return for your work. So if we work together, you'll have plus 75. You're going to have so much more profit. So this is good business. It's also a good cartoon. It's good entertainment. It's good information. And we can do it in this way that's politically correct and that's safe for Trey, because Trey is very, you know, careful and stuff. So he has his thing. We can do those rules that Trey wants. Well, I want to say this, but not that. Okay, let's do it. And that's so awesome and perfect. Thank you so much, South Park. Thank you, Trey Parker. Um, for me, I think Trey Parker is an intelligent person. And I'm saying I've shown you sort of the love glow, the heart. I've shown you my paintings. That should be it. And you're like, yeah, I realized that we weren't really picking up on all the magic you're talking about. And so I had to do some introspection. And, I understand what you said. Um, and I want to be more advanced in my doing, my thinking, and my arrangement with my audience. I mean, from the side, for it might look like to you guys that I'm just going after Trey, but it's actually a complicated thing. What with other stuff, okay? So you need to have a little bit more imagination. Be like, whoa, several million dollars business, make a cartoon that makes people laugh and defeat the evil of Trump, defeat the problem with society, and a greater intelligence will rise up. I know that I can do this work, and I know I can sense that brighter future. It is not tasteful for me to be like, oh, I know the future's brighter, I'm correct, and all of you guys are wrong, and that's true, but that doesn't taste good to me. I'm not trying to keep my ideas to myself and, um, not communicate it to the people. I'm trying really hard to reach the people, but it's just incredibly difficult, and especially in this advanced climate of 2019, and when very popular shows are being canceled because they can't afford it. I mean, it's hard to get produced at all. But you guys, what I'm trying to say is like, okay, this Halloween episode, we have the haunted house exploration. We have the Green Wolf robot. And like I said, I would like to do an hour special, but at the end of this episode, all of the characters have graduated and they're on like the highest level of Millie's labyrinth. She's still up in the attic and they're all in VR on the common space. And I love the images of these lounge spaces. There's all this technology going in the background, and you can see like Randy on a beanbag with this thing on his head, right? Because we play into this imagination where like you plug in and you just like fall asleep because you're just gone into the your soul has departed into a new world. So it's exciting. Anyway, um oh, what I'm trying to say is like so we get to a place where we're all on the highest level of discovering this new world of the robot's brain. And I think that the audience is expecting, they're like, oh, it's South Park, so it will go like this. When you bring in Pan as a guest director, it's a totally different direction. People are like, whoa, what? And it's amazing and it's hilarious, right? And so what I'm thinking is um, like when the green wolf, so everyone's sort of and they're seeing this landscape. They've gotten up to the highest point and they can see, and they have memories. They're like, oh, remember those little sheep characters? Oh, I can see that snowy landscape over there. And so they're up on this high level, and then Stan just feels like out of place and he feels neglected. And so he like takes off his VR or whatever, and he walks over and he's like messing with the Green Wolf robot. And it's just like, what are you doing, Stan? What's going on? The audience is like really, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Because they're like, oh, it's South Park, but what's gonna happen is not expected, and Stan just goes to a deep place, and he has like you know, a really amazing youthful moment when like this was it, and he performs this, "Rah!" And he has this passion, and he awakens the Green Wolf robot, "Row!" And the whole house shakes. And it's this thing where all the other characters are in VR, and they actually see a little hero character, and they don't realize it's Stan or something, and it all lights up, and the whole thing just starts going, and Millie's like, "Whoa, what?" And because we have a guest voice actress, I want to do Ashley Ball for that. So you can just imagine her voice being like just ringing a bell, man. She's an angel, right? So it's just there, and then we cut and we see the green wolf activating, and then boom, and that whole thing where he smashes out the side of the wall, and you'd be like, oh, they're going to be angry at Stan, but no, it's because like, oh, Pan and Millie are these super cool people, and they're like into it, they get it, and they're like, oh, it happened, oh, eureka, so they're really happy. Okay, so that's what I want to introduce is like, hey guys, yeah, and it's just really good energy. Anyway, like I said, they all go out onto the lawn, and this is the first time that Randy actually sees Millie. And he says, "Oh, hi, Millie," because and that's funny because Randy is still in the dialogue about like oh, like he's like Randy gets into stuff. So he's when he's in VR, he's like, I am this other thing, and he's sort of ghosting around and getting into it and jumping around and jumping out to scare. Like there'll be like this haunted house feeling, but maybe Randy is the monster or something. He's like turning it into this scary thing. But anyway, I mean, the point is, like, everyone's focused on this green wolf happening, and Randy sort of departed, and he's like, "Oh, hi, Millie," and then she's like, "Oh, come on, you guys, we can watch on the screen about where the wolf's activities." And then we cut back, and we're watching the carnage as he's tearing through the forest, and there's a lot of excitement, smashes over this hill silently, and then to the trash island to its devastation, and he destroys the trash island with a fearsome bite. And honestly, it's like I feel like this episode has so many huge punchlines, and I'm just like, we'll figure that out when we get there. But huge things like, well, what happens to the Green Wolf robot after he destroys the trash island? I'm like, I'm not even sure right now, but I feel like the solution would supply for some of the greatest punchlines that Trey Parker's ever written. Okay, you guys, this is an awesome episode, and it would be the perfect Halloween celebration. It's the Blitz to defeat all these saggy bottom old people who are rotting the senses and dulling it down. And I'm concerned about because we're already operating on the stance of like, oh, the thing with the money and the satellite debris, it's all beyond our reach. We're under, it's crowd control, guys. And it's just like, whoa, so I'm worried that we get more and more into this thing like, "Oh, that's out of our control. We can't, well, then we don't have leaders and we don't have a government and we don't have heroes or we don't have what, see how the system of the down and the problems behind the curtain are decaying at the very fiber of freedom and uh, country, but you know, democracy. Is this democracy? Is this an image of democracy? And I would say it isn't. And that is a startling thing to say because, well, it's the Electoral College. Anyway, what I'm talking about is really the Green Wolf is like a blitz to defeat the Electoral College and get us out of a slump where we've been subsiding with like this old pattern, and it's like the money needs to be updated, and that would solve literally all the problems because because everyone is already engaged with the practice of money. They're like, okay, yeah, I understand, like goods and trading. This is an ancient concept, but there is a more intelligent way of orchestrating that exchange, and that's what I'm talking about doing. Just like tuning things up, overhauling the engine, and I think the world is going to follow, and it's going to be one of the first times that we're going to see that America is that promised land with golden streets. Okay, the streets are paved in gold over there in America. Where did all those ideas come from? I'm saying like I can see historically. Okay, maybe that's just something I can feel, and we just want to focus on this episode. All right, so I've really brought it. I'm talking about the energy and the passion and the goodness, and you guys. I'm just saying like let's just put to rest, and we're gonna destroy and purge all that bad stuff. All right, Pantray, friendship is important. And I feel like, if you just have a little bit of understanding on the situation, you'd be like, okay, we're talking about business. Pan missed the boat with us in on our season, but if Trey wants to do this episode with Pan, we should support it. And so I was really excited to be able to go to that energy place where I really felt Trey was like, oh yeah, 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 because he was saying like I was talking about some of the greatest punchlines that Trey's ever written. And so like I said, it's like this. It's not overly, the script is very flexible, and so it's like pull apart bread. It like stretches apart. Oh, it smells good, and it's like doughy, and then it has these spaces. And Trey's like, oh, and he figures out, okay. So I'm saying is like it can be difficult for the men to give the victory to Stan Marsh. Like it's hard to reward the boy and do what's right. But we need to cause that trend. We need to spark that trend. It might not be a natural thematic thing for South Park, but it's going to be helpful for the American image. Family values of The Simpsons. I'm talking about building on that and being like, cause a trend of the sons of America rising up and being like, "Hey, whoa, this is my world." You know, future is mine. Greta is correct. All right, give it to the boy. And that's just a similar thing between Trey and I about my production. All right, you guys, I love you so much. I'm just trying to say, we are the deadline and all this. Like, we got 2.5 weeks to do this episode. If Trey flew me out, I could be working on this episode, building up the resources, building up the landscapes, and then, after Trey's ready, oh, and then we can talk about the script. Yeah, it's an hour long. It's a little bit more work, but it has, the toys, which are like several $1 million of profit. Okay, so we're talking about doing one of the most intelligent seasons of South Park, one of the most lucrative seasons of South Park. Please study, tune in, and be like, oh, this guy is charismatic. He's a character, and sometimes he has an exciting idea. And I want you guys to reciprocate and be like, okay, this is where we produce good ideas. This is, we like change the definition of it, because I am a lone wolf. I'm just here performing and hoping on my own. And like, if you can invest and believe in a spark of hope from America, that's like magic. That's like giving people magic, or it's a surprise party, and it's going to return Halloween to the adults. Because we're going to be saying, oh, okay, Greta and the Friday Kids, they're doing their thing. They're talking in first degree. That's not in tongues, man. That's perfect Zen. Okay, but as adults, we have our own opportunity to perform perfect Zen. And the Green Wolf robot is exactly that, because this allows all the adults who are going to enjoy the South Park episode to involve themselves with the Green Wolf robot visually, but also they can play with the toy. And when they do, it's actually a device. It is the Zen of the adults responding appropriately to the demand of the children for climate change. And this is like, okay, this is, and because that's the highest level of the super physics that we can do. Talking about, like, perception physics, time of Earth, how to change historical events. The Green Wolf robot does exactly that. And so that's why this idea is so exciting. Okay, because I'm not seeing an appropriate reaction to the children's demand, but it's so good to do this ourselves and to give the championship to Stan. Like, Stan is the one that activates the Green Wolf robot. Then it really is that Trey Pan, that me and Trey are performing a fatherly thing and answering this demand with the actual device that's designed to do it. Okay, as the adults, we're the ones to make technology, the ones to make common sense, the ones to make cartoons. And so we're putting all that reality into the toy, into the cartoon, and that's the appropriate sober and somber adult response to a very advanced situation. I mean, it's really messed up with the government and the way that they're talking. It's like mind control. It's like you get into a funk where you're like, oh, that's how it is. And it's not. And I can prove it with my run. So I'm asking for that production. I'm saying, the highest level, what I would need right now, and what would be most proactive to get me on the view of America is the Halloween episode. That's the top thing. And I think in Trey's mind, that's like, oh, make an awesome episode of South Park. That's absolutely what I want to do. And that's all I want to do. And it's just sort of difficult because the second thing is like, I need production with overhead. Um, if you guys don't want to do an episode with me, and Trey's be like, oh, what, dump like a bunch of money on you and just hope that you uh, be powerful. Like, I'd rather spend some time with you and, you know, tune things up and be useful in that. So I'm making an intelligent investment, all this. Okay, on the bottom level, I'm just asking you guys seriously, like, if you could just help me get out of debt, I could take out a big loan and sort of open up a little studio where I'm talking to people online and build up my resources. But this would take months. Okay, but this Halloween episode, it would reach everyone, and the toy is going to be huge, and it would reach everyone this month. And so you understand how the timetable. I'm like, oh, this is the best thing ever. But I think some people would interpret what I'm doing as like, oh, he's going after Trey again, and it's just not that simple. Um, okay, because, what I'm saying is, like, you guys have a hard time sensing the event of like see a Halloween cartoon in your mind, an hour-long Halloween epic with toys, a lot of profit and very good for the people. Like feel the warmth of that. Oh, like a surprise party for these guys. All right, these recent episodes with Trey have had overtones of sadness, and I think it's because that he's like, I missed my friendship with Pan here, and it feels weird. You know what? Don't worry about it. What I'm saying is like, if we do this episode, we haven't missed a beat. And like the whole feeling, Trey, one of the feelings Trey might have had has been like, I want to get back into South Park and have my own reign. Well, you've done it, Trey. So you understand you've been respecting that you have your season of South Park and you were able to ditch me and ha ha ha, you guys made fun of me and whatever. And that's fine. It's all water under the bridge. But I'm saying like now, this is a perfect opportunity for Trey, perfect opportunity for me, and it's a perfect response to what's going on in the world. Thank you, South Park Studios. Thank you, Trey Parker. Please be brave, you guys. Be powerful and be professional on making a very good episode and making a huge profit. Thank you so much, Trey Parker. I love you guys. And, I bring a lot of warmth. Millie in the Attic and the Green Wolf Robot. Baroo! And the Halloween Twins. I can't wait to show those wonderful lounging areas where computers and technology is running around and they're just hopping around and sort of talking and hanging out. It's like a party where they're hanging out and little jokes get said. It's just like a pleasant time to spend, and it's going to become like a very memorable location where people are like, "Oh, remember that water wheel mill in South Park? Oh yeah, yeah, that location." It's like a dream location, man. And I'm talking about doing the full-blown animation magic with South Park. Right in the heat, right on Halloween. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful, you guys. And that's like really advanced uh, super physics of holiday extravaganza and cheering people up and going, come on guys, come on, we can do it, give them a big passionate push. And that is because I can sense the future and it's in me, because of time travel, and I'm like, oh, this is so perfect, and so I'm sort of the charisma, or like I can feel it. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I do appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Love you guys. I hope to hear from you soon. I'm saying fly me out and I'll get working on this. I know, a little bit of awkwardness. Let's get over that and get to work and do something professional for our fans and for America. Thank you so much. Shush. The perfect solution, the perfect answer. It does exist and it is here. It is true love. Thank you, Trey Parker. It is good.